The cross-media bar, originally used on the PSX, is a graphical user interface used for the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Portable, as well as a variety of other Sony devices.
The interface features icons that are spread horizontally across the screen.
Navigation moves the icons instead of a cursor.
These icons are used as categories to organize the options available to the user.
When an icon is selected on the horizontal bar, several more appear vertically, above and below it, selectable by the up and down directions on a directional pad.
The XMB can also be accessed in-game albeit with restrictions. It allows players to access certain areas of the XMB menu from within the game and is only available for the PlayStation 3.
Although the capacity to play user-owned music in-game was added with this update, the feature is dependent on game developers who must either enable the feature in their games or update existing games. The cross-media bar, pronounced cross-media bar, and officially abbreviated as XMB, is a graphical user interface developed by Sony Computer Entertainment.
The interface features icons that are spread horizontally across the screen.
Navigation moves the icons instead of the cursor.
These icons are used as categories to organize the options available to the user.
When an icon is selected on the horizontal bar, several more appear vertically, above and below it.
They, in turn, are selectable by the up and down directions on the directional pad.
Originally used on the PSX, a PlayStation 2, with an integrated digital video recorder, the XMB is used as the default interface on both the PlayStation Portable and PlayStation 3.
Since 2006, it has also been used in high-end Wave TVs, the Bravia, starting with a 3000 only in S series and above. The Sony XEL10 LED TV, HD TV set-top boxes, Blu-ray players, some Sony Ericsson phones and high-end AV receivers.
The Sony Ericsson K850, W595, W760, W910 and 80 feature a version of the XMB as their entertainment menu.
The XMB was also the menu system in the 2007 generation of Sony's Bravia TVs.
Sony also added the XMB to its video laptops. The interface won the Technology and Engineering Emmy Award for Outstanding Innovation and Achievement in Advanced Media Technology for the best use of personal media display and presentation technology in 2006. The XMB has been phased out starting with a PlayStation Vita, which adopted a new touch-based user interface called Liveria.
On February 20, 2013, the PlayStation 4 was announced, and a new, non-XMB user interface was shown.
Sony Bravia smart televisions continued to use it until 2014, when both an unnamed interface with Smart TV functionality and Android TV were phased in. From left to right, the categories are these: settings, extras, photo, music, video, TV, only available in countries that use the one-seg broadcasting service, Game Network, and PlayStation Network.
Once a category is selected, its options appear below the icon, selectable by pressing the X button for European and North American version, or circle button, Asian versions only.
Going back is possible by pressing the left directional button or the circle button for European and North American version, or X button, Asian versions only.
Some items have an option menu that can be displayed by pressing the triangle button.
The XMB is capable of limited multitasking.
This is accessed by pushing the Home button on the PSP 1000 and PSP 2000 and the PS button on the PSP 3000 and PSP. Go while listening to music, looking at photos, etc.
This feature can be used to watch a video, look at a photo, listen to music, and look at the current web page, all while browsing the XMB.
However, what is in the background will be cancelled if any item is accessed on the XMB, except if viewing pictures while listening to music.
The background color on the XMB changes color depending on the current month.
On a PSP with firmware 2.00 plus, the background color can be changed, or the background can be changed to a picture.
On a PSP with firmware 3.70 plus, it is possible to listen to music and view photos simultaneously.
On the PSP 2000, PSP 3000, and PSP Go models, there are a number of additional colors available for the XMB.
On a PSP with at least system software 4.20, the background waves effect has changed with two options under theme then color.
These two options are the ability to change between the new waves effect and the classic wavy lines.
On update 5.00, the XMB received the PlayStation Store as a new feature. Users with system software version 3.70 or newer for the PlayStation Portable have the ability to download themes and apply them to their system's cross-media bar without using custom firmware.
Subsequently, Sony released software which allows users to create their own themes for the PlayStation Portable.
The PlayStation 3 version of the cross-media bar includes 10 categories of options: users, settings, photo, music, video, TV/video services, game, network, PlayStation Network, and friends.
The dynamic lines on the background are more condensed into a ribbon rather than the PSP's large waves. Unselected icons shrink slightly, and every selectable background color has been made a shade darker.
The PS3 includes the following particular abilities: to store various master and secondary user profiles, to manage and explore photos with photo gallery or an ordinary musical/non-musical slideshow, to rip audio CDs, rip iTunes AAC protected files, to copy tracks to an attached storage device, and to play music, movies and video files from the hard disk drive, from an optional USB mass storage or flash card, or from an optical disc, Blu-ray disc or DVD video.
It also has compatibility for a USB keyboard and mouse and a full web browser supporting downloading of multiple file types.
The Friends menu allows email with emoticons and attached picture features and video chat, which requires an optional webcam. Although the PlayStation Eye and the iToy are official webcams, most USB webcams will work.
The PlayStation Network menu allows online shopping through the PlayStation Store.
Also, the PlayStation 3 adds the ability to multitask in ways such as listening to stored audio files while surfing the web or looking at pictures.
The PlayStation 3 XMB supports a variety of file formats. See PlayStation 3 system software.
The PS3 reserves 48 megabytes of RAM at all times for XMB functions. Sony Computer Entertainment America, SCEA, and many other sources state that in-game XMB was the single most requested feature for the PS3 in 2007.
In-game XMB functionality was debuted before the launch of the PS3 by SCEI but was omitted due to technical reasons from the official launch.
The feature was added to the PlayStation 3 on July 2, 2008 via System Update 2.40.
However, roughly 11 hours after its release, download of the system update was disabled amidst isolated reports of problems reported by small groups of users since installing the update.
Users who had not already downloaded the update were only able to download the previous version, 2.36.
On July 8, 2008, System Software version 2.41 was released for the PlayStation 3, which restored the in-game XMB functionality of version 2.40 and addressed the problems Sony had found in 2.40.
All of these issues were addressed in the 2.40 system update.
Although the ability to play users' own music in-game was added with this update, the feature is dependent on game developers who must enable the feature in their games, perhaps by updating existing games.
Prior to the update, basic forms of XMB friends lists could be found in some modern August 2007 or newer PS3 games including Resistance, Fall of Man, since the 1.1 patch, Warhawk, Rock Band, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, Kane and Lynch, Burnout Paradise also includes in-game XMB headset accessory menu.
In addition, custom soundtracks taking on the user interface of the XMB has been implemented into a few games such as Mainichi Isho, Super Stardust HD, Burnout Paradise, Ver 1.3, MLB-08, The Show, Wipeout HD, Ghostbusters, High Velocity Bowling, Pain, The Beatles, Rock Band, and software such as Folding at Home, 1.2.
These partial functions of XMB, friends lists and custom soundtracks have been reserved for the developer to implement. On PlayStation Now, a cloud gaming subscription service, a similar in-game XMB, can be accessed, but the number of categories have been decreased to 3. Game, PlayStation Network and Friends, and not all of the XMB features are present.
This can only be accessed when playing a PS3 game on PS Now.
The XMB's default background color changes depending on the current month of the year, and it changes brightness depending on the time of day.
Major color changes occur on the 3 days before the 15th and 24th of each month, while the color gradually changes between those dates.
System Software version 1.90, released July 23, 2007, allows users to change the background of the XMB to display the image saved on the console's hard disk drive.
Firmware 2.00 added the ability to select the background color of the XMB from the same choice as the PSP and the brightness of the XMB background.
The same update also added extra font choices and the ability to use custom themes that change the icons, wallpaper, color, font, and, in some cases, the sound effects.
With the release of firmware 3.00, a sparkle effect has been added to the XMB background. There is a classic theme that doesn't have the sparkle effect. and the black theme color has been replaced with a gray theme color, among other revisions.
Themes can be created by Sony's official PlayStation 3 theme, creator software, or by theme compilers from third-party developers.
PlayStation 3 themes are able to store images and sounds in order for users to customize their system's XMB.
Themes can be shared via the internet and can be downloaded directly to the PS3 system via the PS3's web browser. Sony Computer Entertainment also makes official themes available through the PlayStation Store, a service which is part of the PlayStation Network.
A dynamic themes feature was added in software version 3.00, which allows the user to use animated themes.
These themes may feature animated backgrounds, which change throughout the day or respond to user input. Q Games Limited, a small development company based in Kyoto, Japan, developed the graphics technology behind the XMB, its stylized background, and the built-in music visualizers.
Sony has also collaborated with Stanford University to bring the folding at home project to the PS3.
Once downloaded, the program can be configured to run when the system is idle or executed manually from the XMB.
Folding at home was later integrated into life with PlayStation, which has been discontinued on November 6, 2012.
On the Sony Bravia TVs that have the XMB, the cross-media bar includes 7 categories of options.
The Bravia XMB menu works similarly to the in-game XMB menu on the PS3, except with the Home button instead.
Therefore, it lacks a background and is not Bravia's startup menu.
Like the PSP and PS3, it has the ability to perform system updates and access the user's music and video on the TV.
Unique to the Bravia XMB, however, is the ability to view digital channel information just by scrolling through the items on the menu.
Although inputs can be instantly selected through the TV, XMB also handles the devices plugged into the TV along with the TV channels.
Analog channels, unlike digital channels, do not display channel information on the XMB. Generally, the XMB requires 8 different options on a controller.
A 4-way directional pad, D-pad, is used to choose categories using the left and right directions, as well as highlighting options or actions within these categories using the up and down directions.
2 additional buttons are required to select items, which are highlighted, as well as to return to the previous level of menus, usually cross and circle. Although usually pressing the left directional button will bring the XMB back to the previous menu, and using the start button will start software.
Another button is required to display an option menu on a certain item, usually triangle.
Some items might not have an option menu.
Additionally, square is used to group files on the XMB.
The XMB can also be controlled with a Bravia TV remote control on both Bravia TVs and PS3 Slim models, and with a PlayStation Move motion controller by waving the move around left to right as well as up and down.
The controls have been cited as being similar to the film Minority Report.
Liveria, designed to be used on the PlayStation Vita, is a graphical user interface set to incorporate various social networking features via the PlayStation Network.
It has been designed specifically as a touchscreen user interface for users.
The Live Area is the name of the graphical user interface of the PlayStation Vita system software developed by Sony Computer Entertainment.
The interface features a new touch-based screen and acts like a hub page and allows users to switch between different parts of the game space.
The 8th generation PlayStation Vita and PlayStation TV consoles use Live Area as the graphical shell instead of the previous cross-media or XMP interface, which was used by Sony's 7th generation video game consoles such as PlayStation Portable and PlayStation 3.
The PlayStation 4, Sony's 8th generation home video game console, however, uses neither Live Area nor cross-media bar as its graphical shell, but rather utilizes a user interface called PlayStation Dynamic Menu.
The Live Area user interface includes various social networking features via the PlayStation Network, PSN.
Users can select the icon for a game or an application on the home screen to open the Live Area screen for that game or application in PlayStation Vita or PlayStation TV.
As a new feature of PlayStation Vita and PlayStation TV's Live Area, latest game information such as downloadable contents are shown on the Live Area screen for that game.
In addition, by scrolling down the game's Live Area, the activity of other users who are playing the same game can be checked instantly.
The PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation TV support a feature called Remote Play with the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4.
It allows the PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 to transmit its video and audio output to a PlayStation Vita or PlayStation TV.
While Remote Play between the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 4 is well integrated, Remote Play between the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 3 is only supported via select few PS3 titles and results were often laggy.
In a similar vein, the PlayStation Vita can be used as a second screen device for the PS4 and for PS3, but only supported by very few games such as Class of Heroes 2G. For streaming content directly from the console to the PlayStation Vita.
Also, for users who own both the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 3, it is possible to share media files, videos, music and images between them by transferring multimedia files directly from the PlayStation Vita to the PlayStation 3, or vice versa.
Updates for the PlayStation Vita system software can also be downloaded to PS Vita devices via a PS3 system.
Furthermore, a service called Cross-Buy can be used, which allows players to buy certain games that support this feature one time and play them in both Sony platforms.
Minecraft and Terraria are examples of such games, and their saved worlds are transferable between the consoles.
Minecraft is no longer cross-buy as of February 25, 2016. There is also a feature called Cross-Play or Cross-Platform Play, covering any PlayStation Vita software title that can interact with a PlayStation 3 or a PlayStation 4 software title.
Different software titles use cross-play in different ways.
For example, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is a title supporting the cross-play feature, and the PS3 version of the game can be controlled using the PS Vita system. In 2002, Sony released the first useful and fully functioning operating system for a video game console after the NetHeroes experiment for the original PlayStation.
The kit, which included an internal hard disk drive and the necessary software tools, turned the PlayStation 2 into a full-fledged computer system running Linux.
Users can utilize a network adapter to connect the PlayStation 2 to the internet, a monitor cable adapter to connect the PlayStation 2 to computer monitors as well as a USB keyboard and mouse, which can be used to control Linux on the PlayStation 2. Linux for PlayStation 2, or PS2 Linux, is a kit released by Sony Computer Entertainment in 2002 that allows the PlayStation 2 console to be used as a personal computer.
It included a Linux-based operating system, a USB keyboard and mouse, a VGA adapter, a PS2 network adapter, Ethernet only, and a 40 GB hard disk drive, HDD.
An 8 MB memory card is required. It must be formatted during installation, erasing all data previously saved on it, though afterwards the remaining space may be used for saved games.
It is strongly recommended that a user of Linux for PlayStation 2 have some basic knowledge of Linux before installing and using it, due to the command line interface for installation.
This kit has stopped being officially sold in the US as of 2003 due to the entire allocation of NTSC kits selling out.
However, it is still available through some second-hand markets, such as eBay.
The official site for the project was closed in June 2010 and communities like PS2 Dev are no longer active. The Linux kit turns the PlayStation 2 into a full-fledged computer system, but it does not allow for use of the DVD-ROM drive except to read PS1 and PS2 discs due to piracy concerns from Sony.
Although the HDD included with a Linux kit is not compatible with PlayStation 2 games, reformatting the HDD with a utility disk provided with a retail HDD enables use with PlayStation 2 games but erases PS2 Linux. Though there is a driver that allows PS2 Linux to operate once, copied onto the APA partition created by the utility disk.
The network adapter, included with a kit, only supports Ethernet. A driver is available to enable modem support if the retail network adapter, which includes a built-in V.90 modem, is used.
The kit supports display on RGB monitors with sync-on green using a VGA cable provided with a Linux kit, or television sets with a normal cable included with a PlayStation 2 unit.
The PS2 Linux distribution is based on TaBNWNE/Linux, a Japanese distribution itself based on Red Hat Linux.
PS2 Linux is similar to Red Hat Linux 6 and has most of the features one might expect in a Red Hat Linux 6 system.
The stock kernel is Linux 2.2.1, although it includes the USB drivers from Linux 2.2.1a to support the keyboard and mouse. But it can be upgraded to a newer version such as 2.2.21, 2.2.26, or 2.4.17. The Linux kit's primary purpose is amateur software development, but it can be used as one would use any other computer, although the small amount of memory in the PS2, 32 MB, limits its applications.
Noted open source software that compiles on the kit includes Mozilla Suite, XChat, and Pigeon.
Lightweight applications better suited to the PS2's 32 MB of RAM include XV, Duo, TED, and AudiWord.
The default window manager is Window Maker, but it is possible to install and use Fluxbox and FVWM.
The The USB ports of the console can be connected to external devices such as printers, cameras, flash drives, and CD drives. With PS2 Linux, a user can program their own games that will work under PS2 Linux, but not on an unmodified PlayStation 2.
Free open source code for games is available for download from PS2 Linux support sites.
There is little difference between PS2 Linux and the Linux software used on the more expensive system. Tool DTLT10000 used by professional, licensed PlayStation game programmers.
Some amateur created games are submitted to a competition such as the Independent Games Festival's annual competition.
It is possible for an amateur to sell games or software that they develop using PS2 Linux with certain restrictions, detailed in the end-user license agreement.
The amateur cannot make and sell game CDs and DVDs, but can sell the game through an online download.
The original version of the PS2 Linux kit worked on only the Japanese SCPH 10,000, SCPH 15,000, and SCPH 18,000 PlayStation 2 models.
It came with a PCMCIA interface card, which had a 10/100 Ethernet port and an external IDE hard drive enclosure, as there is no room inside the unit.
This kit cannot be used with any later model PS2, which includes all non-Japanese models, because these models removed the PCMCIA port. Later versions of the PS2 Linux kit use an interface very similar to the HDD interface /Ethernet sold later for network play. The later released network adapter was also usable with the kit, including the built-in 56K modem.
This kit locates the hard drive internal to the PS2 in the multi-bay.
With this kit, only the SCPH 30,000 model of PlayStation 2 is officially supported.
The kit does the work equally well with models newer than SCPH 30,000, with the exception that the Ethernet connection tended to freeze after a short period of use.
Thus, the newer SCPH 50,000 PlayStation 2 model will only work correctly with PS2 Linux with an updated network adapter driver, which must be transferred to the PlayStation 2 HDD by using either an older model PlayStation 2 to transfer the driver or a Linux PC with an IDE port.
Both methods involve swapping HDDs.
This is due to the inability to use USB mass storage devices with a relatively old kernel, version 2.2.1, shipped with a kit. The Slim SCPH 70,000 PlayStation 2 model does not work with PS2 Linux at all due to the lack of a hard drive interface. Though very few early models in this revision had solder pads of an IDE interface on the motherboard that could be used, but required modding of the console, thereby voiding its warranty.
Even so, it is possible to network boot from a PXE server.
PS2 Linux installation DVDs are region encoded, as are all other PS2 game discs.
A European/PAL disc will be rejected by an NTSC PlayStation 2 game system, however this is only at boot time. If the user has a mod that allows them to load a PAL disk, then the PS2 Linux bootloader supports both PAL and NTSC Linux. Read the documentation to determine the button presses, so once they are past the DVD not supported, they can boot Linux, and then later start X window in NTSC mode.
Ever since the discontinuation of the PS2 Linux kit and sometime before that, there has been a large, less active group who have tried and succeeded to run the Linux operating system through other methods.
One notable example is the kernel loader Linux loader, developed by Mega Man, which requires users to copy the necessary kernel files onto removable storage or DVDs.
Such storage media must be formatted as a video DVD due to Sony's anti-piracy measures, which restrict the use of data DVDs. Through this method, it has become possible to use custom Linux distros and other Unix-like operating systems compiled for the PlayStation 2, and this has enabled users to use more compatible Linux kernels with smaller footprints and programs specially designed for the console.
These methods often require the use of PS2 exploits such as FreeMC boot, which allows the end user to boot from the PlayStation 2 memory card and launch custom-made homebrew applications, packaged as ELF files and other exploits such as swap magic, etc.
Some other more invasive methods, such as the use of mod chips or resolving an IDE port on early 7000X models, require the opening of the PlayStation 2 console itself, voiding the warranty of the device if still applicable. The PlayStation 3, excluding PlayStation 3 Slim, also supports running Linux OS on firmware versions before 3.21 without the need to buy additional hardware.
Yellow Dog Linux provides an official distribution that can be downloaded. Another distributions such as Fedora, Gentoo, and Ubuntu have been successfully installed and operated on the console.
The use of Linux on the PlayStation 3 allowed users to access 6 of the 7 synergistic processing elements. Sony implemented a hypervisor restricting access to the RSX.
The feature to install a second operating system on the PlayStation 3 was removed in a firmware update released in 2010.
Other OS is a feature of early versions of Sony Computer Entertainment's PlayStation 3 video game console, allowing user-installed software, such as Linux or FreeBSD.
Software running in the other OS environment has access to 6 of the 7 synergistic processing elements.
Sony implemented a hypervisor that restricts access to the RSX Reality Synthesizer graphics chip.
IBM provided an introduction to programming parallel applications on the PlayStation 3.
The feature was controversially removed by Sony since System Firmware Update 3.21, released on April 1, 2010.
A class action lawsuit was filed against Sony on behalf of users, but was dismissed with prejudice in 2011 by a federal judge.
The judge stated, as a legal matter, plaintiffs have failed to allege facts or articulate a theory on which Sony may be held liable.
However, this decision was overturned in a 2014 appellate court decision, finding that plaintiffs had indeed made clear and sufficiently substantial claims.
Ultimately, in 2016, Sony settled with users who had installed Linux or had purchased a PlayStation 3, based upon the availability of other OS. The settlement was then rejected in February 2017 by Judge Ivan Gonzalez, citing 2 problems: the lawyer's high fee percentage and the user's difficulty in collecting.
Sony responded in September 2017, offering each member of a single, proposed class up to $65.
This is a change from $55 and $9 payouts for members of 2 separate classes in the prior proposal. Since 2000, Sony has marketed Linux on the PlayStation 2.
It promoted the release of the PS2 Linux kit, which includes a Linux-based operating system, a USB keyboard and mouse, a VGA adapter, a PlayStation 2 Ethernet network adapter, and a 40 GB hard disk drive, HDD.
The PlayStation 3 does not have Linux pre-installed.
However, Sony included an option in the XMB menu soon after the PlayStation 3 launched that allowed booting into Linux from the hard drive or from a live CD that the distributor's kernel would boot.
The installation manual for the Yellow Dog Linux version for PS3 stated it was fully intended that you, a PS3 owner, could play games, watch movies, view photos, listen to music, and run a full-featured Linux operating system that transforms your PS3 into a home computer. Sony announcement of the upcoming release of the PS3 Slim in September 2009 stated that it would not support the other OS feature without any explanation.
In March 2010, Sony announced that other OS would be removed due to security concerns as of PS3 firmware 3.21 on April 1, 2010.
Several methods of bypassing the updating and retaining the ability to sign into PlayStation Network have been discovered, most of which use third-party DNS servers. George Hotz claimed to have created custom firmware for the PS3 called 3.2100 that re-enables other OS and published the video as proof.
Some in the online community claim that this custom firmware was a hoax.
On July 14, 2010, Hotz announced that he would not bring out his custom firmware to the PlayStation 3. On April 27, 2010, a class action lawsuit was filed in California.
It claimed that the removal of the other OS feature was unfair and deceptive, and a breach of good faith.
Most of the filing relates to violation of various consumer protection laws relating to the removal.
Several other lawsuits were also filed and are somewhat similar in nature but are filed by other individuals.
In January 2011, Sony sued Hotz and members of Fail Overflow for their jailbreaking of the PS3.
Charges included violating the DMCA, the CFAA, copyright law, and California's CCDAFA, and for breach of contract. Related to the PlayStation Network user agreement, tortious interference, misappropriation, and trespass.
In February 2011, U.S. District Judge Richard Seabird dismissed most of the class claims with leave to amend, finding the plaintiffs failed to state a claim.
Seabird stated, while it cannot be concluded as a matter of law at this juncture that Sony could, without legal consequence, force its customers to choose either to forego installing the software update or to lose access to the other OS feature, the present allegations of the complaint largely fail to state a claim. Accordingly, with the exception of one count, the motion to dismiss will be granted with leave to amend.
On May 4, 2011, Unisalary from the PS3 NFW team announced the release of a modified PS3 firmware that allows running other OS. On December 8, 2011, U.S. District Judge Richard Seabird dismissed the last remaining count of the class action lawsuit, stating, as a legal matter, plaintiffs have failed to allege facts or articulate a theory on which Sony may be held liable. In January 2014, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit partially reversed the dismissal and sent the case back to the District Court. In 2016, Sony settled with American users who installed Linux or purchased a PlayStation 3 based upon the alternative OS functionality.
This settlement provided a payment of $55 to those owners who used an alternative OS and or $9 for purchasing a PlayStation based upon the option.
The settlement was then rejected in February 2017 by Judge Ivan Gonzalez, citing two problems.
The first was the percentage being charged by the lawyers, and the second involved the hurdles faced by those eligible to collect.
Sony responded in September 2017, offering members of a single proposed class up to $65.
This is a change from $55 and $9 payouts for members of two separate classes in the prior proposal.
In November 2018, final payouts for members of the class were sent in the amount of $10.07. Linux supported PlayStation 3 with version 2.6.21.
No patches or modifications are required.
A simple Linux add-on CD for the PS3 includes support for Fedora 8 and other operating systems that already claim to install natively on the PS3.
However, there is currently an issue with the latest KBoot bootloader provided by kernel.org.
Once the user selects the default action, the USB ports are deregistered on some systems.
A workaround is available at PS Ubuntu.
In Fedora 8, Gen 2, OpenSUSE 10.3 to 11.1, and Ubuntu run on the PlayStation 3.
Yellow Dog Linux for the PlayStation 3 was first released in late 2006.
Some versions of Ubuntu up to the release 10.10 have been ported to the PS3 platform.
The installer cannot run in live mode when running in 480i or 480p video resolutions, but it offers a text-based installer that installs fully functional Ubuntu.
It is possible to mount an external USB hard drive as the home folder during install. The LTS Release 8.04 Hardy Heron of Ubuntu is incompatible with a PS3.
However, the 8.10 Intrepid Ibex release was ported to the PS3 on the same release date as the official main Ubuntu release.
Yellow Dog Linux 5.0 was one of the first Linux distributions to run on Sony's PlayStation 3 platform.
It is designed specifically for HDTV, so users with SDTV will have to use the commands install text and YDL480i to install and run.
Yellow Dog Linux is based on the Red Hat Enterprise Linux /CentOS core and relies on the RPM package manager.
Digital audio has been verified to function properly. However, the NVIDIA graphics card is not supported beyond frame buffer mode.
In addition, some other hardware components will not function properly without modifications to the kernel.
Wi-Fi function via the network manager is also not fully supported and must be entered manually via the network configuration tool, or in some cases, through the command shell.
A workaround is available to enable wireless to be configured via the network manager. OpenSUSE 10.3 was the first version of OpenSUSE to run on the Sony PlayStation 3 platform.
OpenSUSE is a free version of SUSE Linux, which was then owned by Novell.
PlayStation 3 specific installation instructions available for OpenSUSE. Starting with OpenSUSE 11.2, support for the PowerPC architecture and therefore the PlayStation 3 has been dropped. Fedora also ran on the PlayStation 3.
Fedora 7 works on a USB external hard disk but fails to detect the internal disk. Fedora 9 detects the internal disk but not the USB disk. Fedora 8 will not work due to video card detection problems.
Fedora 10 installs on the internal hard disk without any issues and works fine without having to change any settings. Fedora 12 only installs on the PlayStation 3 when running the 64-bit kernel. Linux on the PlayStation 3 allows for a range of homebrew programs to be developed.
Although the cell's performance is more than enough to handle most media requirements or render complex 3D graphics, it does lack the teraflops performance of a contemporary GPU's texture fetching hardware.
For this reason, many complex games are not possible on the PlayStation 3 through Linux, as access to hardware acceleration in the RSX is restricted by a hypervisor. There have been developments in enabling access to the RSX through the Linux kernel on the X Windows system.
It is possible to use the RSX memory as swap space.
A trick to access some 3D functions was blocked with firmware 2.10. Reverse engineering advancements focused around the USB descriptor parsing vulnerability in 3.41 firmware, which allowed running the Linux kernel on 3.41 firmware.
The current state of the project is the ability to load the Linux kernel via TFTP and run it with access to all 7 SPEs, requires applying a small patch to the kernel.
The rest of the system can run on an NFS share. Hard disk access is currently not implemented, as well as some other features. Also, since the exploit runs the kernel with game privileges, graphics acceleration is now available, although it requires reworking of the Nouveau driver code. Support for PlayStation 3 was added to FreeBSD 9.0 in summer 2010.
This support is limited to machines with other OS functionality still intact, firmware version 3.15 and earlier.
The PlayStation brand has a wide series of magazines from across different continents, covering PlayStation-related articles and stories.
Many of these magazines work closely with Sony and thus often come with demo discs for PlayStation games.
Currently, there are 3 magazines still in circulation, namely PlayStation, the official magazine, PlayStation Official Magazine, Official PlayStation Magazine, Australia.
However, over the years, many PlayStation magazines have spawned while a few have also become defunct. These include the official US PlayStation Magazine, official UK PlayStation Magazine, official UK PlayStation 2 Magazine.
PlayStation Underground was a non-traditional magazine that Sony Computer Entertainment America produced and published between spring 1997 to spring 2001.
Subscribers received 2 PlayStation CDs, along with a booklet and colorful packaging every quarter.
The CDs contained interviews, cheats, programmers' moves, game demos, and one-of-a-kind memory card saves.
Several issues showed how a game was created from basic design to final product.
Since the CDs could only be run on a PlayStation, it proved a useful marketing tool, which spawned a line of PlayStation Underground Gem Packs demo CDs, and which contained highlights from recent issues of PlayStation Underground, along with seemingly as many game demos that could be packed on a single CD.
Unlike PlayStation Underground, these were available in most stores for $4.95, were published twice a year in summer and winter, and usually spotlighted newly released or coming soon games.
By 2001, Sony had decided to phase out Underground to focus on the Gem Packs with the release of the PlayStation 2.
PlayStation Underground CDs are mainly in the hands of collectors these days.
PlayStation Underground was an American video game magazine originally published by Sony Computer Entertainment America.
The magazine focused on the PlayStation fanbase, including gaming on the original Sony PlayStation and the PlayStation 2, and was promoted as a PlayStation fan club.
Unlike its paper-based counterpart, the official US PlayStation magazine, PlayStation Underground, came in the form of CD-ROMs, which could be played on the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 consoles.
Subscribers were also given access to a members-only website.
The magazine released its first issue on March 26, 1997, and its final issue in 2001.
The magazine released a total of 17 issues during its active years.
The magazine was eventually merged with official US PlayStation magazine in 2001 when it was discontinued. In 2015, PlayStation Underground returned as a video series where gameplay from upcoming games is shown in a Let's Play format by the PlayStation.
Blog team discusses the game with a developer.
Each issue consists of 2 CD-ROMs that can be played on a PlayStation or a PlayStation 2 console or an emulator. Disc 1. The Vault, a collection of playable game demos of upcoming Sony Computer Entertainment America game titles.
Codebook, hints, cheat codes and strategy guides for video games.
Imports, preview of games from around the world such as Europe and Japan, which have yet to be released in the United States.
Download station, additional game content, such as extra secret levels or hidden characters, which are saved into the memory card for use with certain games, similar to DLC.
Tech Q&A, a section which asks and answers questions behind product development and the PlayStation's technological capabilities.
Debriefing, video interviews with major video game designers who work with a PlayStation console.
Behind the scenes, a look at the making of video games, commercial spots, etc.
Event Center, a highlight of current happenings in the PlayStation brand, promotions and marketing events.
Bulletins, exclusive special notices and opportunities for PlayStation Underground Club members.
Transmission, a feature showcasing upcoming features and contests.
Alphas, exclusive previews and premieres of upcoming games.
Unhidden content, each issue had various Easter eggs hidden throughout the sections, including cheat codes, game movies, and game demos.
The second disc contains mostly demos of upcoming games as well as game trailers.
For example, in the second issue of PlayStation Underground, the second disc was a square-themed disc containing demos to Final Fantasy VII and Bushido Blade as well as exclusive upcoming trailers of new Square games.
PlayStation Underground featured video interviews with many high-profile game designers as well as other notable figures in the entertainment industry internationally during their debriefing, tech Q&A and behind-the-scenes segments. These included Dave Jaffe, Incognito Entertainment, Twisted Metal 2, Twisted Metal, Black.
Hironobu Sakaguchi, Square, Final Fantasy VII.
Nobuo Uematsu, Square, Final Fantasy VII.
Yoshinori Kitas, Square, Final Fantasy VII.
Todd McFarlane, Acclaim Entertainment, Spawn.
Kazuo Hirei, Sony Computer Entertainment, Sony Computer Entertainment.
Masaya Matsura, Nanon Shah, Parappa the Rapper.
Stuart Copeland, The Police, Spur of the Dragon.
Ken Kutarachi, Sony Computer Entertainment, Next Generation PlayStation.
Phil Harrison, Sony Computer Entertainment, Next Generation PlayStation.
Tamanobu Itagaki, Team Ninja, Next Generation PlayStation.
Yasunori Yamachi, Polyphony Digital, Gran Turismo 2.
Shuhei Yoshida, Japan Studio, Ape Escape.
Tony Hawk, Neversoft, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Jason Rubin, Naughty Dog, Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back, Crash Bandicoot, Warped, Crash Team Racing.
Ted Price, Insomniac Games, Spur of the Dragon, Spuro 2, Ripto's Rage.
Takuro Fujiwara, Wookiee Camp, Tomba 2, The Evil Swine Return.
And Hideo Kojima, Kojima Productions, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty.
The RPG version of PlayStation Underground's Holiday 2004 demo disc was released with a major glitch that caused the save data to be wiped on all memory cards connected to the PlayStation 2 if the demo for Beautiful Joe 2 was played.
Sony sent an email to subscribers of the magazine warning users to remove the memory cards from the PlayStation 2 before inserting the demo disc.
The staff of PlayStation Underground included narrator Gary Barth,
Narrator Chris Colin,
senior executive producer Andrew Howes,
Senior Producer Terry Rogers,
executive producer Peter Dill,
Producer Gary Barth,
marketing director Colin McLean,
Marketing Manager Michelle Vercelli,
audio Buzz Burrows,
Music Composition Sound Effects Nathan Bremholt,
music composition Chuck Dowd,
Marketing Coordinator Yvonne Smith,
marketing coordinator product manager Kim Yoon,
Creative Director Alan Drummer,
test manager Mark Pentek,
Art Staff Christian Lowe,
and tech team Francesca Reyes. Advertising slogans used for each PlayStation console iteration. PlayStation. In us lives, the first letter E was printed in red to denote the word ready. In us stood for ready, 9th of September, US commercials.
You are not E. The letter E was printed in red to denote the word ready, as in you are not ready.
And do not underestimate the power of PlayStation. From the SAPS, Society Against PlayStation, series of adverts. PS1. Wherever, whenever, forever. PlayStation 2. The beginning.
Live in your world, playing hours. The PlayStation face button icons were used to denote certain letters. Live in your world. Playing hours.
Welcome to the third place.
Fun, anyone?
And the ultimate just got better. PlayStation 9. Teleport yours today. PlayStation Portable. PSP helps ya. PSP 1000 series.
Dude, get your own. PSP 2000 series.
Everywhere just got better. PSP 3000 series and PSP Go.
It's go time. PSP Go.
Your whole world in your hands. UK and Europe territories.
And step your game up. US territory. PSP 3000 series and PSP Go.
PlayStation 3. The wait is over.
Welcome shame free. The number 3 is used to denote an E and was printed in red.
This is living.
Play beyond. The number 3 is used to denote an E and was printed in red.
It only does everything. US commercials. PS3 Slim.
The game is just the start. Start PS3. EU countries.
Long live play. PS3 Slim.
Never stop playing. PS3 Slim.
And greatness awaits. PS3 Super Slim. PlayStation Move. This changes everything.
And move into the action.
PlayStation Network. Download, play, connect. PlayStation Vita. Never stop playing.
And the world is in play. EU only.
PlayStation 4. See the future.
Push the boundaries of play.
Greatness awaits.
This is for the players.
And we're the greatest play. On PlayStation 5. Play has no limits.
And it happens on PlayStation 5.
The most notable of recent PlayStation commercials is the series of It Only Does Everything commercials featuring a fictional character called Kevin Butler, who is a vice president at PlayStation.
These commercials usually advertise the PlayStation 3 and its games through a series of kinetic answers to Dear PlayStation queries.
These commercials garnered popularity among gamers, though its debut commercial received criticism from the Nigerian government due to a reference to the common 419 scams originating in Nigeria.
Sony issued an apology and a new version of the advert with the offending line change was produced.
A spin-off of the campaign has been created for the PlayStation Portable, which features similar campaign commercials called the Step Your Game Up campaign, featuring a fictional teenage character named Marcus Rivers acting similarly to Kevin Butler but answering the Dear PlayStation queries about the PSP. Kevin Butler, portrayed by Jerry Lambert, was a marketing character used by Sony Computer Entertainment America as part of their It Only Does Everything 2009 to 11 and Long Live Play 2011 advertising campaigns for the PlayStation 3 in North America.
He starred as the vice president of various fictitious departments within the PlayStation division of Sony, responding to Dear PlayStation queries.
Due to the positive reception to the commercials, Sony extended them throughout the remainder of 2010 as well as into 2011.
The character was created by TaBNWNE, the advertising agency responsible for the campaign.
Duke/Illy also managed Kevin Butler's Twitter account and wrote his E3 2010 speech.
Creative Circus graduates Will Lindbergh and Mark Adler were responsible for creating the Hall of Play Facebook application to induct PlayStation gamers into the Hall of Play by Kevin Butler.
Kevin Butler first appeared in a 2009 ad for MLB09, the show called Dustin vs. PlayStation, where he, the director of game accuracy, was debating the in-game abilities of Dustin Pedroia, 2008 AL MVP.
He then appeared in another ad for the game called Joe the Fan, discussing Pedroia's abilities with a fan named Joe TaBNWNE, a baseball connoisseur.
These are the only two commercials, not part of the It Only Does Everything campaign, and featured the original model PS3 due to these two commercials being made before the Slim model was released.
The original PS3 model can also be seen in Kevin Butler's Artist Spotlight for Mod Nation Racers.
The first commercial in the It Only Does Everything campaign began with a price drop and rebranding of the PS3, where the director of rumor confirmation, Kevin Butler, responded to a call in regards to a rumor about the PS3 price drop.
Kevin Butler then appeared in many additional commercials.
On June 15, 2010, he made a live appearance at Sony's E3 press conference promoting the PlayStation Move and gaming in general.
He revealed on his Twitter account that he had a college degree in MBA, Master of Being Awesome.
In the What Are You Waiting For commercial, it was shown that Kevin Butler had his own RV called the PlayStation VP vehicle, and he put the PlayStation Move to the ultimate test by spending 90 days in the McGuire family's house. For the 2009 holiday season, Kevin Butler teamed up with Best Buy employee Nick DeVita from New York to promote a PS3 Best Buy bundle.
They also teamed up to promote PS3 Best Buy bundles for the consequent holiday seasons in 2010 and 2011.
On August 26, 2011, Butler told his Twitter followers, "KP's off to be president of my uncle's new upstart company," which was later revealed to be fictional, Economy Flooring.
This led to the launch of a new marketing campaign, Long Live Play, to succeed the It Only Does Everything marketing campaign.
The first commercial in the Long Live Play campaign began with Butler as president, Economic Flooring, until he receives a call from Jack Tretton, president of Sony Computer Entertainment America, to return to PlayStation. On October 27, 2011, until Thanksgiving 2011, as part of the Long Live Play campaign, Kevin Butler opened the Hall of Play, inducting PlayStation gamers into the Hall of Play through Facebook.
As part of a DLC pack for Little Big Planet karting, players who pre-ordered the game received the Kevin Butler Sackboy costume and executive golf cart.
He had a different title in each commercial except the two MLB11, the show commercials, the Resistance 3 and Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception commercials, such as Director of Rumor Confirmation or VP of First Person Shooter Relations.
In his YouTube channel, he noted that he was PlayStation VP of lots of stuff.
In the PlayStation Move commercials, instead of responding to "Dear PlayStation" queries, Kevin Butler had "Dear World" queries about motion gaming.
In the I Bet There's a New Pet in Town commercial, he had a "Dear Puppies" query for puppies.
In the video announcing the launch of video streaming on PlayStation 3 in Canada, he referred to Canadians as Canadies. There have also been some unofficial titles given to him.
At E3 2010, for example, when Gabe Newell came out to present Portal 2 on the PlayStation 3, Newell made a joke stating that Kevin Butler had introduced himself backstage as the VP of Sharpening Things, which is why Newell seemed nervous.
The Hall of Play was a fictional Hall of Fame that honored PlayStation gamers as part of Sony's Long Live Play campaign.
The Hall of Play opened on October 27, 2011, with a Kevin Butler version of PlayStation's To Michael commercial. Kevin Butler was praised and his picture was shown at the end instead of Michael's.
Kevin Butler began inducting various gamers every weekday into the Hall of Play on November 1, 2011 until Thanksgiving, November 24, 2011.
Whoa!
Although Kevin Butler no longer personally inducted gamers after November 24, 2011, with their own induction video, PlayStation gamers could still be inducted by Butler through PlayStation's Facebook page where Kevin Butler walks players through the Hall of Play and has players recite the Hall of Play oath.
Players were then treated to their own version of the To Michael commercial, with their name being praised and a picture of themselves in the place of Michael's picture. The app has since been taken down. In one of his first commercials, in response to a rumor monarch questioning an unconfirmed price drop for the PlayStation 3, he says, "You can't believe everything you read on the internet. Otherwise, I'd be a Nigerian millionaire by now."
This prompted Nigeria's Minister of Information and Communication, Professor Dora Akunyili, to demand an apology from Sony, calling the commercial an unwarranted attack on the reputation and image of the country.
In response, Sony promptly issued an apology to the Nigerian government and immediately removed the commercial from the air.
A few days later, Sony replaced the commercial with an edited version, replacing the original line with, "You can't believe everything you read on the internet." That's how World War I got started.
In July 2010, New Zealand television station TV3 ran an advertisement for Something Big on Monday nights.
Gaming website Button Masher accused TV3 of directly ripping off the montage "It only does all-nighters / Blu-ray games" commercial.
Kevin Butler replied via Twitter, "Dear TV3, you could have at least put my photo on top of the amp. Sheesh."
Sheesh.
In January 2011, Sony sued George Hotz and others, in part for publishing PS3's private keys, which allows users to modify the system to run customized or unofficial software.
On 9 February 2011, a post was published on Kevin Butler's Twitter account containing an earlier dongle key.
The post was made in reply to another user who tweeted the code to @Kevin Butler in an attempt to mock Sony's threat that they'd prosecute anyone who posts the PlayStation 3 private key. Kevin Butler replied, appearing to mistake the code for a series of coordinates in the game Battleship, joking, "Let me guess. You sank my battleship," and copying the original message in his reply.
The post was later deleted from the @Kevin Butler Twitter account.
On September 11, 2012, Sony sued Lambert, alleging trademark infringement, due to his appearance in a Bridgestone commercial that featured the Wii as part of a sales promotion.
They settled 4 months later, with Lambert agreeing not to appear in video game advertisements for 2 years.
The string of commercials starring Kevin Butler was met with positive acclaim due to its humorous and lively tone.
Whoa!
Gaming site ComicU commented on the first two commercials that were released. What we didn't mention is how funny they are.
Sony Computer Entertainment America Senior Vice President Peter Hill said that the commercials had been tremendously successful. Consumers love it. It's great to hear people like you guys love it. And the results are really in the sales, because it's really been flying since this coincided in September with the launch of the new PS3.
Engadget also loved the commercial, saying, "We have to hand it to Sony, they followed up nicely on their worst-kept secret, trade show jokes, with an ad campaign that is fittingly self-aware."
Destructoid praised the commercials, saying that they were much better than Sony's previous White Room series of ads, which was met with mostly negative reception, with most calling it creepy.
When Butler appeared at E3 2010, he was met with large praise from the audience.
Peter Hill, the real VP of marketing for Sony Computer Entertainment America, said that the company had received requests for interviews with Butler from people who did not realize that he was a fictional character. NPR named a sandwich in his honor.
Whoa!
The sandwich, a double bacon cheeseburger sandwiched in between two Monte Cristos, was based on a remark that was made by the fictional executive.
His catchphrase, "Well played, Mar," from a series of commercials with 2009 AL MVP Joe Mar, is widely quoted among baseball fans and has been the subject of parodies and t-shirts.
The clip was regularly played on the main video board at Target Field whenever Mar made a winning play, such as a hit or a home run.
In July 2006, an advertising campaign in the Netherlands was released in which a white model dressed entirely in white and a black model dressed entirely in black was used to compare Sony's new ceramic white PSP and the original piano black PSP.
This series of ads depicted both models fighting with each other and drew criticism from the media for being racist, though Sony maintains that the ad did not feature any racist message.
In November 2006, a marketing company employed by Sony's American division created a website entitled "All I Want for Christmas is a PSP," designed to promote the PSP virally.
The site contained a blog which was purportedly written by Charlie, a teenage boy attempting to get his friend Jeremy's parents to buy him a PSP, and providing a music video of either Charlie or Jeremy rapping about the PSP.
Visitors to the website quickly recognized that the domain name was registered to a marketing company, exposing the campaign on sites such as YouTube and Dig.
Sony was forced to admit that the site was in fact a marketing campaign, and in an interview with NextGen.biz, Sony admitted that the idea was poorly executed.
Between 1999 and 2007 and 2009 to 2010, PlayStation was the main kit sponsor of French Ligue 1 club AJ Auxerre and Olympique Lyonnais, respectively. PlayStation has been an official sponsor of WWE pay-per-view events in the past, including In Your House, Buried Alive, WrestleMania 13, Bad Blood, In Your House and Invasion. While the PlayStation 2 had sponsored 3 consecutive Royal Rumble events, 2003 to 2005, Armageddon 2004, and No Mercy 2005. Between 2016 and 2022, PlayStation was the sponsor of the Fiesta Bowl. In 2005, Australian newspaper The Age wrote an article about the PlayStation brand.
A Among the numerous interviews conducted with various people in the industry was an interview with Jeffrey Brand, Associate Professor in Communication and Media at Bond University, who said, PlayStation reignited our imagination with video games.
Game designer Yoshiki Akamoto called the brand revolutionary. PlayStation has changed gaming, distribution, sales, image and more, while Evan Wells of Naughty Dog said, PlayStation is responsible for making playing games cool. In 2009, Vitru Incorporated listed the PlayStation brand as number 13 on the Vitru 100 Top Social Brands of 2009.
The ranking was based on various aspects, mainly dealing with popular social media sites in aspects such as social networking, video sharing, photo sharing, and blogs.
In 2010, Gizmodo stated that the PlayStation brand was one of the last Sony products to completely stand apart from its competitors, stating that, if you ask the average person on the street what their favorite Sony product is, more often than not you'll hear PlayStation.
As of April 2012, the PlayStation brand is the most followed brand on social networking site Facebook, with over 22 million fans and followers in total, which is more than any other brand in the entertainment industry.
A study by Greenlights Entertainment Retail has also shown that the PlayStation brand is the most interactive, making 634 posts and tweets on social networking sites Facebook and Twitter. In July 2014, Sony posted in a company release video that the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita sold a combined total of 100 million units.
It was announced at Tokyo Game Show on September 1, 2014, that PlayStation home game consoles claim 78% market share of all home consoles in Japan.
As of 2015, PlayStation is the best-selling home console brand worldwide. That's it for today. Thank you for watching the massive, longest episode of TaBNWNE. At over 20 hours long, this episode is one of the longest in the series, surpassing nearly all previous episodes except for episode 5.
We hope you enjoyed this giant PlayStation special, packed with discussions, memories, reviews, and plenty of fun moments along the way.
Anyways, be sure to hit a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as it happens, and see you next time. So long.